welcome to Kaleidoscope. I'm Uche Aluku. Coming up on the program, the Group Corporate Communications Manager of food manufacturing company Dufil Prima Foods PLC, makers of popular Indomie instant noodles, highlights the company's success story in over 30 years operation in the Nigerian market and the company's impact in the country. The Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Momas Metering Company Limited talks about raising the next generation of technology experts, the untapped opportunities in Nigeria's power sector, the challenges, and giving back to society. Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Let's begin with the consumer goods sector, where Dufil Prima Foods PLC, makers of popular Indomie instant noodles, is playing a leading role. Rated as one of the top brands in Nigeria, the Group Corporate Communications Manager, Mr. Tope Ashiwaju, attributes the success of the company's brands to hard work and a commitment to shared value. Take a look. It's a pleasure to have you on Kaleidoscope. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Dufil Prima Foods PLC is one of the top brands in the Nigerian market. Could you tell us about the company's journey from its entrance into the Nigerian market to where it is today?
I'd like to say that it's been a wonderful journey for us in the sense that when we came into the Nigerian space, we, of course, among so many other companies, we've been able to create a niche for us in terms of the kind of products that we have brought into the company, and by His grace, they are doing very well in the country. Okay, so let me just start by saying that amongst several other companies, the most popular that people would readily know when they come to Dufil Prima Foods will be the Indomie instant noodles, which is almost like a household name right in the country. So that journey started about 1996, where we started our production. And the first production plant was actually built in Ota in Ogun State. And that was how the journey started for us. I mean, not as a group. Of course, as a group, we've been in the country much longer than that. But for that particular household name that people know about is what I am trying to focus on right now. So it started in 1996, and since then, we've grown around the country. I mean, from one factory, we've built several in the country. Apart from Indomie, of course, we also have quite other products that are doing very well. We have the Power Oil, we have the Hypo, we have quite a number of these household name products now that are doing well in the country. But like I said, it's working in Nigeria for us has been very exciting. We also know that the population is an advantage for us.
The company operates in a very competitive space. That's the consumer goods sector.
Yes.
How does the company retain its market share?
I would like to tell you that, I mean, retaining the market share for us has been a lot of hard work for us, and because we understand, we actually set up primarily because we wanted to make instant noodles. And don't forget that we have a parent company who is Indo Foods, and they are the largest producers of noodles in the world. So the experience and the technical know-how is there for us. So it's like, okay, we're just riding on their back. But the beauty about it is that we've been able to create that palette in Nigerian space that, okay, because of a good and how much is put into research and development in Nigeria, we could say that if, for instance, there are noodles all over the world, but there's this particular taste and that Nigerians yearn for when it comes to noodles in Nigeria. And that is why, I mean, people will always tell you that Indomie noodles in Nigeria is different from any other noodles that they have tasted. I mean, it's a lot of hard work for us. We do research all year in, year out to ensure that whatever products that you see in the Nigerian shelf takes minimum of 2 years of research that has gone into it. And that's why we have remained very relevant in this space, and I can tell you that we have also dominated that industry. And well, for me, I'm never satisfied by saying that how we've been able to retain that. I think the most important thing for us is also to grow that industry and ensure that we dominate that space.
Increasingly, companies and corporations are looking for ways to give forward, to give back. considering what they make from the environment. There's so much there's so many causes to give for or give towards in society. For Dufil Prima Foods, what ways do you give back to society through CSR?
I think as a company, I think we've done fairly well in that as well. And not because we usually want to showcase some of these things. It's something that comes to us natural. And I can say that since inception, what we plan to do is that in all those areas where we have our installations, we ensure that our presence are felt in all those places primarily. However, beyond where we have all our installations as well, we do quite a number of corporate social responsibility across the country. So far, I think the biggest one that we're doing right now is the one called the Indomie Independence Day Award for Heroes of Nigeria. So what we try to do is that we looked at the whole space, and we looked at a scenario that usually what we find happening around is for people to be rewarding adults and for people to be giving some kind of monetary reward or some kind of reward to adults who usually would have it at the back of their mind that maybe if they do good, maybe some form of good will come their way. But so we wanted to move away from that space and looked at it and said, okay, now if we teach the younger ones to be doing what is obviously supposed to be doing good, so it means that you are teaching a generation of young Nigerians to actually do what is right. So we looked and said, okay, we would continue to reward children below the age of 15 to ensure that, okay, whatever you do right now, it's been noticed, it's been recorded, and at some point in time, we'll pull all these people together and we'll make sure that we publicize and acknowledge the good deeds that they have done. So successfully, we've been able to break it down into 3 categories. We have the physical bravery category, we have the social bravery category, and of course, we have the intellectual category. And this, you can sure, runs into hundreds of millions of nairas. And of course, in the past, we've also had partners looking at what we have done holistically and said, okay, we want to be part of it. So apart from that Indomie Independence Day Award that we do, what we do in our company is that we do an environmental scan. So it's not as if we are just dumping whatever it is on the community. So we go around the country, working with agencies, working with our partners to ensure that, okay, we'll find out that what are the issues bordering on people, because you see different communities, different areas have different challenges and different problems. So rather than just say one cap fits all, so what we do is that we'll come to that particular area, we'll sit down with judges together and say, what are their challenges, for instance? So we do an environmental scan and identify what those problems are, and we directly solve some of them. I always tell people that it's not possible for a company to say that I want to solve 100% of what the problems are. But working with governments, is like an intervention for some of those things. And I can quickly run some of those things that we have done. For instance, we've done quite a number of boreholes around the country. Of course, we provided equipment for school, laboratory equipment, because, mostly our CSR activity is based on 3 segments, like the 3-type tripod that we always couch on it. So one is education, we have public health, and of course we have the community development project. So under the education, we look after schools, we give exercise books, we give biros, we provide laboratory equipments for secondary schools, we give boards, we give, all those things that are required to have an effective educational learning system. We try as much as possible to do intervention in those areas. And of course, on the public health side, what we do is that we go to hospitals, public, because these things are not done for private, because there's usually no point feeding the overfed or people who have. So we target the public health space, and we provide pediatric equipment for them, maybe for therapy machine, we have incubators, we have all those things that are essential for a proper pediatric unit to run in a public health space, that we try to do quite a number of that. I mean, and these things are verified. These things are, if I mention names, General Hospital Bagada, General Hospital Isolo, in Port Harcourt we've done, in Kaduna we have done, in Abuja, you know, just across this country like that, we have done quite a number of those interventions. And of course, the community development projects are maybe would put public space in terms of boreholes, electrification, homes. We provide homes for maybe orphanages and some of those things. Those are the things that we do. And year in, year out, I can say that, I mean, this kind of budgets, I mean, huge for us. I mean, usually I would say that, I mean, it runs into hundreds of millions. And we don't have a regret. I mean, we're happy doing all these things. And more recently, I'll tell you that even in year 2020, as hard as these situations are right now, during this pandemic, I mean, the company has been able to cough out 1 billion naira to ensure that, I mean, both the government and the private sector are able to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. And I mean, for us, we felt that, yes, if we're making from the area, from the sector in which we're making all this, we should be able to give back. And that's why we decided that we're going to give 1 billion, which has already been done anyway, both in cash and kind, to support the efforts of the federal and state governments to fight COVID-19 pandemic. And for us, is also an ongoing thing.
Speaking of impact in a given society where a company operates, it also includes the amount of jobs being created, how you treat your staff. For a manufacturing company like Dufil Premier Foods, what's your staff strength like? Directly
as a company, we have well over 20,000 staffs, and indirectly, of course, we've been able to create hundreds of thousands of people who are directly, I mean, those are directly that have been employed across board. I mean, you can now imagine, if I take just one of our products, for instance, if I take Indomie, for instance, you have distributors, you have sub-distributors, you have retailers running into hundreds of thousands of people who are taking their livelihood from that product alone. And if I count several products that we have, you can imagine how many people are attached to that particular product and brands that we've been able to create. So, I mean, in terms of how well the company is treating its staff, I can say that we are not where everybody wants us to be, but I can tell you that I think we are one of the best in the industry, if not the best in the industry. I am bold to say that. I mean, right now, for instance, when other companies are shutting down, other companies are either asking staffs to leave, we've been able to successfully retain our salaries, are being paid as at when due. And we feel that it's just a period, it's just a phase in life, and it will surely pass. And that's where, I mean, one of our core values, for instance, in the group is, I mean, long-term commitments. So for us, the relationship we have with our staff transcends beyond just the salary that is being paid. Yes, you are getting value for it because you are working and you are being paid as a Wendy, but we want a lasting commitment so that, I mean, you can also pass. I mean, I'm looking at a situation by whatever I do here. I mean, if my son or my daughter chooses to still work with the group, I should 100% be able to endorse and say, yes, that is a good company. And I think you can, I mean, we've had companies who have lived and are still living in 100 years. I see quite a number of them in the media space. And the thing that takes company from generation to generation isn't just about the money alone. It means there's so many other things that are attached to it. Welfare, for instance, health package. The way the company cares about individuals goes a long way, and I think it almost says more than how much you are being paid. Because, I mean, for all I care as an MD, I can just pay your salary and that's all. But for us in Dufil, it's beyond that. So we look at everybody and we say, oh, it's a family. And that's why we treat our staffs.
You're watching Kaleidoscope on Channels Television. I also had a chat with the chairman and chief executive officer of Momas Metering Company Limited, a manufacturer of prepaid meters in Nigeria. That's when we return in a moment. Please stay with us.